Okay, it's Dave Travis here. I'm here with Dr. John Jenkins, who's the pastor of the First Baptist Church of Glen Arlington, Maryland, which is actually in two places. It's in Upper Marlboro as well as Landover. Fantastic ministry. John's been the pastor there, I think, since about 25 years now. John, is that right?
24 years, almost
24, almost 25.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, John, in the last 5 years, can you give folks just a personal update on you and what's happened at First Baptist Glen Arden over the last 5 years?
Wow, so much has happened. It's been just a positive time, even though these last 5 years have probably been economically across our country some of the most difficult times and seasons. A lot of churches have had financial challenges. A lot of churches' memberships have fallen off. But I'm so grateful that God has covered us in a supernatural way. We continue to grow financially. We've never had we didn't go down in income as so many churches have. God, matter of fact, every year increased us all the way up until last year. Last year was the first year that we actually took less than the previous year, but it was a minute amount. We continue to grow with new members. Our members still are evangelistic in their heart and nature. They share the gospel with their relatives and their co-workers and their neighbors, and we continue to have phenomenal growth at our church. We're probably a little over 11,000 a weekend between our four services. And so we're just so grateful to God for his favor. Our church recently purchased additional properties to continue the mandate that God's given us. We purchased an old printing press, a building that held a printing press company, and we're converting that facility into and we're calling it the Empowerment Center. It's a place where we can help the poor, help the needy, the hungry, those who need clothes. We'll provide training classes to help educate people and help better their lives. We're also in the process of building a family life center on our worship center campus in Upper Marlboro. That'll be a gymnasium, classrooms. It again will help us connect with the community. We're so community focused. That's the thing that I always want to tell people is we're called to be the salt of the earth, the light of the world, and that means right in the community where you are. So that's a big thing. These are big items. And another big thing we've done that's a little different than perhaps what most churches do. For years, we were a church that did a multiplicity of missions trips around the world. You know, we had a goal to reach all continents and have some sort of mission endeavor on all continents. But I got challenged and recognized that us doing a little bit on every continent really wasn't making a huge impact. And so we recently concluded that instead of trying to do a little bit on each continent, we were going to find a location that we felt God wanted us to make more of a regional impact and devote all of our resources and our time and our visits to that one location. And so we partnered with World Vision and located a place that is, we think we can make an impact in Peru. And so we stopped taking all the trips around the world and, 10 people for 10 days and 20 people for 10 days over here, over there. And we're devoting all of our energies to this location in Peru. And we think we can have a much bigger impact, much more regional and much more long lasting than what we have been doing in the past.
Fantastic.
So it's been an exciting 5 years.
Yeah, and I think one reason that you guys have been so strong in your financial condition is I remember you telling me the story once about how you moved the church from one method of finance to really being strong on biblical teaching, especially in the tithing arena. That's been one of your hallmarks there at First Baptist Glen Arden. I think I've got that right.
Absolutely, yes. We were a fundraising church. We sold katydid candies. We had patrons lists. We sold barbecue on Saturdays. We did the traditional things that a lot of black churches did. And so we redirected as soon as I got here, shortly after I became the pastor, on teaching people how to manage their money and how to get the best buy and how to get out of debt. and how to pray for things and how not to use credit cards and we cut up credit cards and
Yep.
how to tithe and honor God. So that model has sustained us through tough economic times. And I believe abiding by those biblical principles has made a significant impact on us being able to continue to move forward financially, even when the economy was down.
Absolutely. Now, at the gathering 5 years ago, you spoke about the courage to change. Well, what's changed since then that you feel we need to address?
Wow, that's such a heavy-duty question.
Yeah, really.
So many things that are going on in our culture and in our communities that I think, the church really needs to wake up to. Just the whole same-sex marriage piece is really permeating our country. And unfortunately, many of our churches do not have the resources, the knowledge to address the topic and even to minister to the community. And ultimately, everybody needs to recognize this is something we're going to have to deal with and deal with it from a biblical perspective. And so I'm proud of our church that we have maintained the biblical standard, but at the same time, we've made an inroad in teaching and reaching out to those who struggle with unwanted same-sex attraction. And we've also educated our people, and we still got to do a better job with that we're not to be hostile to people who struggle in areas, but we're to be compassionate and loving while we maintain the biblical standard.
We're broadcasting here in May, and a lot of folks have come off probably a big Easter, but what encouragement would you have for pastors and leaders today?
I would like to encourage pastors not to lose hope, not to get frustrated when things are not always going the way you want them to go. One of my children, she's a college, she's a school teacher. She teaches at a high school, and she's also a coach of a high school basketball team. And she recently had been trying for the last couple of years to become a college basketball coach. That's her thing, basketball. And she applied for a job about a year ago at a school, and she was one of the finalists. She didn't get chosen. She was devastated. She was just distraught. She cried for days. And just in the last week, Dave, a series of events occurred where she got a call, and she recently got hired to be an assistant coach, her first college job at a significant college, D1 school.
Wow.
And it is such a major fulfillment in her life, and she's just ecstatic. I'm ecstatic for her. But I say that to say that we should not always make decisions and choices based on our present circumstances. God has a bigger plan and a bigger picture, and he's always working together to bring us into our destiny. And I would say to pastors and I would say to churches, don't let your present circumstances, no matter how discouraging they might be the thing that puts a nail in the coffin of your life or your ministry, but instead be encouraged and know that we serve a God who's working together for your good and has got a master plan. Be diligent and continue to preach the gospel, continue to love on people, and I think you'll see God in due season. Here's what the Bible says, you shall reap in due season. So some of y'all are due a due season. So just hang on and believe God's going to bring it to pass.
And let us not grow weary.
Right. That's right.
Yeah. And I know that your church regularly does a church development symposium, which is really about people development.
Yes.
More than it is land development or anything like that. So tell folks how they can find more information about that.
I would encourage them to go to our website. It'll be on May 24th.
Okay.
And I would encourage them to go to our website, which is FBC Glenarden, FBC Glenarden, GLENARDEN.org. And you'll see a banner there that you can click and get all the information about the symposium. It's really a powerful time that we pour into other churches, share the principles of how we build our church and how we've impacted people. Yeah,
or if you just Google Dr. John Jenkins, Glenarden Church will pop right up as well. So if you miss that address, FBC Glenarden, that's the First Baptist Church of Glenarden. You can Google either that or Dr. John Jenkins. John, thanks for sharing with us today. We look forward to your talk here now, The Courage to Change.